Hi guys, this is George back here with another video, and today I'm going to be discussing what I would add to UK theme parks. Of course, here in the UK we have quite a large variety of theme parks with loads of different rides and attractions, and as coaster enthusiasts or theme park enthusiasts, there's always something that's like, what would we do if we could add whatever ride we wanted to a theme park? What would we add? Well, today we're going beyond the realms of reality and into the realm of fantasy, and I'm going to choose a ride that I could put at our UK theme park. So I'm going to talk about all of the main UK theme parks in this video and discuss what ride I would put into these theme parks if I was in charge and if I could put one ride in no matter whatever I want. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing today. So let's get straight into it. So let's start with Thorpe Park, my home park, and in my opinion this park is really lacking indoor attractions. They have a couple of indoor attractions such as Ghost Train and The Walking Dead The Ride. However, I feel like this park is really lacking a standout dark ride, and I mean you could argue a dark ride at all, because in my opinion Ghost Train is not a full-on dark ride, it's more of an experience rather than a ride. So I would like to see a dark ride at Thorpe Park, and more specifically a Mack Rides gameplay theatre. Now this is a new ride system by Mack Rides. Two of these have been built. The first opened at Europa Park earlier this year, and the second opened at Paultons Park, Ghostly Manor. I've experienced both of them, and the technology of these rides is absolutely fantastic, where it's set around a circle and you spin round into different scenes, all set around a circle, and it's put into a very small space. You look at Ghostly Manor at Paultons Park, is in a very small space. However, they have got a 4-minute ride out of it, and it's because of the technology that makes this ride so much longer than it would be if it was a standard tracked dark ride in this space. I'd love to see something like this at Thorpe Park because of one, it doesn't take up very much space, and two, there are so many possibilities as to what you could do with this ride system. It's a mix of screens and theming. I'd love to see something like this at Thorpe Park, perhaps to replace the 4D cinema at some point in the future. Maybe theme it into Big Easy Boulevard, have it as part of that New Orleans theme, maybe as some kind of fireworks parade or Mardi Gras parade or something kind of like that, like seeing all these different floats coming in and different screens in there as well. I feel like it would be an absolutely fantastic addition to Thorpe Park. So let's move on to Alton Towers, the biggest theme park we have here in the UK. And if you're familiar with this park, it's very obvious what this park is lacking, and that is flat rides. So new for 2025, they did open a new thrill flat ride called Toxicator. However, other than Toxicator, there's not a lot in terms of thrilling flat rides. You've got some family flat rides in CBeebies Land. However, a lot of people want to see a new thrill flat ride come to the park, and that is my choice as well. For Alton Towers, I'd love to see a Huss Breakdance 5 come into this park, like that in X Sector. I feel like that would be really cool to see, and the theming possibilities with that would be really cool as well, with the fact you could have it undercover and all the lighting. They look absolutely fantastic, and even if it wasn't going to be a Huss Breakdance, either that or a Huss Magic, because I'd really love to see one of those. I have been on one and I found it really good fun, so I'd love to see something like that at Alton Towers, maybe indoors. I remember when Huss first showed a video of like an indoor one of these Huss Magics, and the theming was amazing in there. They had like this haunted kind of look to it, and it looked fantastic. Imagine something like that, maybe in Dark Forest, like delving deeper into the theme of the forest and the forest taking over. It would be such a cool addition to the park. So yeah, my pick for Alton Towers would be flat rides. So let's move on to Legoland Windsor now, and what would I put in Legoland Windsor? I would love to see a Mack Rides family spinning coaster in this park, a replacement to the Viking River Splash. If you're not already familiar, Legoland Korea is currently building one of these Mack family spinning coasters themed to Ninjago, and it looks like a really good layout. Imagine something like that here in the UK. Of course, we have got Storm Chaser down at Paultons Park. That's the one thing that kind of makes me think that the park wouldn't go with this, or that it wouldn't be the best fit in with this park. However, I'd really like to see it because it would definitely be more thrilling than the other coasters they've already got, and I'd love to see them get a bit more of a step-up coaster. In 2024 they opened Minifigure Speedway, which is more of a step-up coaster, but I'd love to see another coaster, another family coaster stepping up from that as well, and this would definitely be that kind of coaster. They are family coasters, but they are pretty intense. You can get them spinning pretty good. I've done a few of these and they are fantastic rides. So yeah, I'd love to see the Ninjago spinning coaster going to Legoland Korea also come over to Legoland Windsor. So let's go to Chessington World of Adventures now and discuss what this park needs. So with this park, I feel like they have got a really nice mix of attractions. However, a lot of their attractions don't have the highest throughput, and Chessington gets some big crowds. Therefore, this park needs something high throughput. So what is a fantastic high throughput ride? An Intamin dynamic motion stage. You look at like Dance Macabre over at Efteling that opened there last year, the original of this ride system, and it's currently the only one built, and it's an absolutely spectacular ride. I went on it at the start of this year, like end of February, and it is an absolutely incredible ride, and this is what I'd love to see at Chessington, a new high capacity dark ride that would be brilliant, well themed, loads of theming around there, loads of movement to it. Of course, it can spin round, it can tilt, it can lift up and down. The possibilities with this ride are absolutely endless. I love the technology of it. The ride system is one of the best ride systems I have ever seen by any manufacturer. So yeah, I'd absolutely love to see one of these come to Chessington. So let's go a lot further up north now to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and I would love a Vekoma tilt coaster at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Imagine a tilt coaster on the skyline there, like being on the beach, looking over from the promenade and seeing a tilt coaster on the skyline of the park. They are eye catchers, these rides. A few of them are opening this year. We've had Siren's Curse open at Cedar Point. Iron Rattler is going to be opening at Six Flags Qiddiya City. That's the tallest one. That's a 200-foot one. And then also Kotaland is getting on as well. However, I think that's opening next year now. So yeah, that's been pushed back a little bit, but they look like fantastic rides. I'd love one in the UK, and I feel like it would fit Blackpool Pleasure Beach so well. Vekoma tends to be a cheaper manufacturer than some of the others, so it's a bit more realistic with what like a family-owned park might be able to afford. However, I don't think we are going to be seeing a new coaster coming to Blackpool Pleasure Beach at any point in the near future, because of course they're getting Invictus next year. However, if I could put anything into this park, it would be a tilt coaster, because seeing it on the skyline would look amazing. They have fantastic looking layouts, some good inversions on there. I feel like the park would benefit with some more, like another coaster with some good inversions, and also some good airtime as well. You've got Icon that has some good airtime, but I feel like they could really benefit from another big steel thrill coaster with inversions. So that is why I would put a tilt coaster into Blackpool Pleasure Beach. So now let's go to Drayton Manor, and in my opinion for Drayton Manor, I wouldn't actually add a new ride in. I would bring back an old ride from the past, and that's Pirate Adventure. I never got to go on it, however I heard amazing things about it. The building is still there, we don't know what's inside. However, Pirate Adventure used to operate as the park, a boat ride that went through all these different scenes. It looked fantastic, I heard it was fantastic, I'd have loved to experience it, and this is what I would bring back to Drayton Manor. Another indoor standout dark ride with some great theming I feel like the park could really benefit from. The Looping Group have been investing a lot into this park with some fantastic theming, so I feel like they'd do a fantastic job bringing this back to the park. So now let's talk about Paultons Park, one of the best run theme parks in the UK in my opinion. They always do a fantastic job with every single project that they do. And for Paultons Park, I would add an Intamin Family LSM coaster. Last year, Intamin officially announced their new family LSM coaster. They look brilliant. They can have a height restriction of around 1.2 meters, and the idea with these is that they would be your first kind of introduction to a coaster with inversions, launches, spikes, backwards sections. Think of Tutatis at Park Asterix, but on a family scale. That's pretty much what this is, and I would love for one of these to come to Paultons Park. I think it would be a fantastic addition there. Get a launch coaster in there with a spike. It could go backwards, have a couple of inversions in there. It would be an absolutely fantastic ride that I'd love to see come to Paultons Park at some point. So we're going to group two parks together now because these two parks I'd put the same thing in. So Flamingo Land in Yorkshire and also Pleasurewood Hills in Lowestoft. I would add a family wooden coaster to both of these parks. I was at Pleasurewood Hills about a month ago and it was a nice park. However, they really did lack like a new attraction. They haven't had a lot of investment, and when I was there I spoke a lot about family wooden coaster. Something like the one at Le Mer de Sable in France that the Looping Group also own, that they recently opened. So I'd love to see something like that at Pleasurewood Hills, as well as Flamingo Land. I think these family wooden coasters are a great idea, giving you an introduction to a wooden coaster but on a smaller scale. And to be honest, they can still look really intense, have some great airtime, some really good layouts, and they can go really fast. The one at Le Mer de Sable looks brilliant. It looks like it goes around those elements so fast, and it looks like it has some really good airtime as well. I think that would be a perfect addition to both of these parks. We really are like lacking like newer, more modern wooden coasters here in the UK, so I'd love to see something like this come to these two parks. So now let's talk about Fantasy Island in Skegness. I've never been here before and it looks like they've got a really nice collection of rides. However, I feel like with this park I'd love to see a new big thrill coaster come in, and what I would do with this park is add a Mack Rides Big Dipper. The reasoning for this is because you can get a really good looking coaster into a very small space. They don't have the most amount of space at Fantasy Island, so they could get something like Lost Gravity at Wallaby Holland in a small plot of land, and they have some really good airtime. Like Lost Gravity, there's some great airtime on there, some great inversions. It's a decently long ride as well. It's fantastic with an amazing first drop. You also look at some of the other ones like Dynamite over in Germany, and also the Striker coaster that they've just opened at Fantasyana in Austria, although it does look a bit like a Big Dipper coaster, and a lot of people have said, like, is this actually a Big Dipper coaster or is it a Striker coaster? Some say it's a Big Dipper, some say it's a Striker, but for this we'll say it's a Striker, seeing as that is officially what it's supposed to be, I think, just with a smaller train. But I'd love to see something like that come to Fantasy Island in Skegness, because it looks like you can get some amazing layouts out of them in a very small amount of space. You look at Helios at Fantasyana, it looks like a brilliant ride with some fantastic elements, all squeezed into a really small space, so I really think Fantasy Island could benefit from one of these. So we're getting to the end of the list now, and we're now going to talk about Great Yarmouth Pleasure Beach, another park that I visited recently for the first time. And yeah, what I'd do to this park is I would add a new water ride, because a few years ago they removed their log flume, and that was the only water ride they have. They have a nice collection of family coasters, including the 1932 Scenic Railway coaster, which is fantastic. They have a great variety of flat rides, loads of flat rides there. I'd love to see a new water ride there, and more specifically, a launched log flume. So of course you look at like Catapult Falls at SeaWorld San Antonio, the prototype of these Intamin launched log flumes. It looks fantastic and it would definitely be an eye catcher. Imagine seeing a log flume with a launch going through there. It'd be unique for the UK, unique to Europe as well. We haven't seen one over in Europe. The only one that's been built is the one at SeaWorld San Antonio, so it would be great to see one here in the UK. It would be a nice replacement, taking out a water ride and putting in a more modern water ride. It'll expand their offering a bit more, more of a variety. And also with these log flumes, you don't always tend to get too wet on them as well, so it would be good for our climate here in the UK. It would be a nice sprinkle for on a hot day, but it's not going to get you mega soaked because often we do get a lot of rain in the UK. But I'd love to see a launched log flume come to Great Yarmouth Pleasure Beach. And now the final park we're going to be talking about in this video, Adventure Island in Southend. And with this park, they have a very small amount of space to work with. However, a couple of years ago, Zamperla released a brand new concept for a roller coaster called the Double Heart. This thing is tall, it's fast, and it doesn't take up a huge footprint. I'd love to see one of these come to Adventure Island. I was there a few weeks ago, and it felt like it was lacking a big coaster. They of course already have a Gerstlauer Eurofighter, however I'd love to see a new coaster come here. They have a few family coasters. I'd love to see another big thrill coaster here, and in my opinion I'd put one of these Zamperla Double Hearts in because they look fantastic, they look intense, they're really tall. It would be an eye catcher. Imagine seeing it from over on the promenade or on the beach, just seeing this massive coaster on the skyline at the park. It would be fantastic. One hasn't been built yet as well. I think one's under construction somewhere in Asia. However, yeah, there haven't been any actually opened yet. So Adventure Island could be one of the first ones to get one if they were looking at it at some point soon. They could really benefit from a big new coaster, and I'd love to see one of these in the UK. So there we go, there are all of our major theme parks here in the UK and what I would add to each one. Let me know what you would add if you could do. You could add whatever you wanted to these UK parks. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? What would you add? Let me know. But that's now the end of this video here. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at George Kelly and follow me on Twitter at George Kelly. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe everyone, and I will see you all later. Bye.